Karyn Helen, welcome to Her Empire Builder Show.
Thank you, Tina. We're so excited to be here. It's always fun chatting to you.
So, I mean, we've been chatting for like 2 decades now. We met for the first time it was at Rendezvous, right?
Gosh, that's a long time.
I met you before that because we had Corbin's 3rd birthday party at the toy store where we built volcanoes. So
Yes, we did. I forgot about that. So that is
years.
So that would have been about, how old is he now?
23, so 20 years.
A long time. And I love this because, I mean, I've seen you go through so many different business iterations. You've seen me go through so many different business iterations. And it's been fun getting to grow up together. But we were talking a little bit about this before we hit record. I feel like you've grown your business at a really steady pace over the last, you've been 25 years in business?
Easily, yes.
Yeah, so over that stage. But the last 3, I want to say, you have gone on a massive trajectory.
Yes, we have.
So give us a little bit of an overview first of how you started working together, because I do think in terms of partnerships, there's not many examples of good partnerships that make it through the ages. I mean, first of all, the percentage of businesses that last 3 years is so slim. The percentages of partnerships that last 3 years is nearly non-existent. And you've been going nearly 3 decades.
We have, yeah.
So tell everybody how that first came about.
You can tell the story.
Karen's favourite story is our love at first sight
like
moment
at uni.
So we studied together. We met studying interior design, and our very first day there, Karyn, who's always on time, turned up late, and we were in a little demountable classroom thing, and I think I was in the back corner somewhere. And I saw her come in and trying to find a seat. And I've just, without really thinking too much of it, said, oh, over here, there's a seat. So she came over and that's it. From then on, we just clicked. And I guess at uni, we would do assignments together. If there was any assignments that we had to collaborate, we just, I think, clicked. We had similar values, similar ideas, and just worked really well together. So by the time we finished our 3 years full-time study, we had got to know each other pretty well and thought, okay, well, why not make something of it? Yeah. So that's the beginning.
And did you go straight from uni into business together?
No.
Not really. We kind of started up our business, which was literally just a business card, and that was it. Nothing else.
I miss the days where you started a business and you made a nice fancy business card and you felt like you were in business.
And I was pregnant. I felt pregnant at the end of the last year. So Karyn went off and worked for a couple of architects, and on the odd occasion, we'd get together and do little private projects together. So we've always been working together. There was probably about 2 years in amongst that when we were both full on with our kids, like babies, in the middle of all that, where it kind of fell by the wayside. But it's weird because at some point, Karyn would ring me and go, oh, there's this project, whatever, do you want to join me? And I go, yeah, why not? And then it all just picked up again. It's like that. It was like a blink and then we're back to normal. And I think we've kind of carried on that way throughout our children's development and change. You're changing, not in lifestyle, but life changes.
Well, the business was built around family, and I think that's why we clicked and we have such good energy between us, because we have similar family values. And I think it wouldn't have gone so well if one was, it's not about the family and the children, and I'm all career driven. I think that's why it's worked really well, because it's always been about family first.
Yeah.
Not so much in the last few years.
That's why you've accelerated a lot in the last few years. Is
correct.
Kids are getting independent and turning into adults, and you're going, okay, I've got this little bit of a void now.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, lots of friends look at us and think, why you two should be slowing down, you're in your 50s. And I think, who says we have to? We've done the family thing, built the business around family, and, gone on that roller coaster journey. And it's our time now. And particularly in these last 3 years, it's definitely our time.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the part I want to talk about, because you went pretty slow and steady. And then when I started Her Empire Builder, when did we start? 2020. And we were supposed to go to Palm Springs together to kick it off, and then COVID hit. But started that, and it took you a hot minute to get into the online. You were like, I think we want to do this. But I think did it take until around 2021 before you did your first thing online?
Correct. Yes.
And so I want to go there to start off with, because it's for a lot of people when they're getting started, especially when they're so established in traditional business. It can be hard to like pivot.
Absolutely.
Going, it's so good and we know this part. Should we put time and energy over here that's not going to pay us yet and not going to, bring us everything yet? Is it going to be worth it in there? So how did you work out that timing, and what made you want to go into the online space?
Definitely, it's hard to give up a service-based business. As you said, we're good at what we do, and it's hard to make that transition across. We're very lucky that we have one another. So I guess I'll be honest, it would be hard to make that transition on your own. It's the best thing we've done. And I took it was a decision made that, Helen would maintain a lot of the drafting and that I would jump into the online world. And of course, she's most definitely involved. It's just, it's believing. I guess we were kind of a little bit scared too to take that leap and really take it on. But it's not even just
the scary stuff is putting your face out there and doing all that stuff. I mean, we can get past that. That's, at the end of the day, at the time, it seemed really difficult. But once you've done a couple, you go, okay, I don't know what I was worried about. But I think for us, that transition was our hardest part, because we just couldn't afford to not bring any money in, and to go and focus on online things it does take it's like, we've always said, it's like a whole other business. It's completely separate, and to maintain the projects, and our job is very hands-on. We do everything. Even to outsource, we found it really difficult, because our time was then taken up by trying to go through all the processes and all that sort of stuff. But we basically got a leg up during COVID, because the business pretty much slowed down, and we both made the decision, well, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for us to actually then focus on that side. And that was really the beginning of it. We dabbled in bits and pieces and tried to get it done, and it was really difficult. And then once we had that time to focus, it kickstarted us. And then that was it. Yep, we want to do this. So then it was a matter of juggling our hands-on bricks and mortar business and the online side of it. And as you know,
but it took a life of its own then.
It did. And there are so many more elements to it than we were even aware of when we first started, that perhaps if we had have known, maybe we might have
started.
Like what?
Well, all gone, hang on, this is all too much.
Yeah. No. It is overwhelming. I mean, I had a coaching call with someone this morning, and I was running through their momentum path, like everything they've got to do from like absolute scratch to launching in 4 months' time was their goal. And I went over it just like, okay, we've got to do this, 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 and this. And in my mind, it's all very simple. She's like, you could just see the overwhelm like growing on her face. And at the beginning, I think because they're all new concepts, and it's something like I know you were really trepidatious of the tech at the start. And now, like, I see you, Karyn, just going boom, 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 all over Kajabi, all over everything, like no problem. But at the start, it's like, okay, well, I just want to set up a lead magnet funnel. Like, what do I even click? Where do you find? And everything takes so long. But once you've got it,
and a lot of swearing at the same time.
Swearing and gin.
Yeah.
And gin, yes.
But I think you have to look, you know what I've loved about it? It's a learning journey too. I think if you take a step back, and it is very overwhelming, there's so many moving parts, and you do it so effortlessly because that's your job and that's your world. So for someone who's come from a service-based business, I think you have to flip it on its head and say, okay, this is a challenge, and it's going to bring some great things, and you never know where it's going to lead, because look where it's led us now. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we've always had that. Yeah. We've always had that mindset though, where, we're presented with an opportunity and we go, okay, we're not ready for it. We're not whatever, but we don't want to miss it. So let's just agree to it and then figure it out, and then completely have this meltdown and go, holy crap, what have we done? Yeah. But we always make it happen. And I think having the two of us there as a backup and a support system really does help. I think doing that on your own would be extremely
That's how
hard.
but that's how we roll. So there would be other people that can take it on. And I think we just have this connection and have been working together for so long that we naturally do things
and something
together.
I see that you do beautifully with each other too, like you never want to let the other person down. So you always push yourself so much and going, I can't let them down. But you both, like, sometimes I'll talk to you individually and you're both worried about the same thing. And I'm like, you're totally fine.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't let it down.
Well, it's like accountability.
Yeah.
We're accountable for one another, I guess.
Yeah,
and you don't want to disappoint either. And if one of you is thinking, oh, this is not going to work or this is whatever, and you're a bit of a downer, the other one will go, no, like it's like
yin and yang.
Yeah, if one's down, the other one will step up. If one's up, it changes. Yeah.
So what was the first online product that you started with?
It's still the same one. It's it's now called Renovation Simplified. So it's about preparing for, a new build or a renovation. So it's about to go through another iteration. It was recorded in COVID. So it had that sort of heavy COVID. We were separated for 10 weeks. So it's just about helping the homeowner get organised for a build or a renovation. And then as you said before, lots of lead magnets off that, lots of checklists, lots of downloadables. So even diving into that part of the online world and building up our social media has all been progressive throughout these last 3 years.
And you've experimented a lot with different lead magnets and ways to get yourself out there. Helen, you kind of touched on it a little bit before when you're like, put ourselves into the deep end and figure out how to do it. It was only, was it a year, 2 years? I've lost sense of time lately. That you got invited to the home show for the first time and you went on that main stage. When was that?
Yeah. But 2 or 3 years ago.
This will be the third year we'll be on stage.
Okay. That flies, doesn't it? So to me, that was like, I remember that moment and everything really changed for you after that. It was almost like you had seen yourself as running this lifestyle business and having this thing that you played with on the side in your spare time away from your family. But that was, to like, from an outside looking in, the first time that you were like, oh, we're actually going to be on this stage. Like, we're actually the people that we've been watching before. And we're now those people that are going to be helping other people do that. And you like changed your perception of
pivoted.
To that.
Yeah. I think we were at a home show doing some work we were doing some sort of side work for a company in New Zealand, and they were running, like we attended the home show as on a stand for them. And I won't say who, but we, in our sort of break, we watched someone stand up on stage and deliver, some information or whatever, presentation, and looked at Karyn and said, we could do that really easy. And we have so much more information to give than what that person had. And then from then on, it was like, okay, we're going to do this.
But you know what? I'm going to digress there. I think that turning moment that you're talking about, Tina, is because before that, we started to do weekly lives and we did more social media. And I think that gave us the confidence to, we're out every week talking to people on Facebook and Instagram. And I think the stage was just that next step. Level. I think if we hadn't have done all the things that we've done with you and you gave us the push, and like you literally held a camera and filmed us and said, come on,
she was going to say held a gun to our head, because that's what it felt like.
It may as well have been at the time. It was the phone with the camera on it. Come on, you two, get on with this. So I think doing all those little incremental steps to that moment in time, we thought, well, yeah, let's do this. We can.
How did it, when it came time for that, because I know that there was a lot of fear around it, like it was a really big deal. How did you, like, what did you, because I know a lot of people will be feeling like this. What did you do to actually deal with the fear of stepping onto that main stage that you've been watching for such a long time?
Well, firstly, her Empire Builders team, I'm going to call it, because as far as I'm concerned, every member of her Empire Builder is your team, essentially. And there are some very, very talented women in there that are from all walks of life, from different backgrounds, have different skill sets. And the great thing is, okay, we've signed up for this. We're absolutely shitting ourselves. We know we're going to do it and we know it's going to be okay. can, you know, what do we need to do? And then out of the woodwork come all these beautiful women saying, right, you need to, here's a tip, here's another tip. Why don't you do this? This is what I do. This is how I found blah, 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 blah. Totally understand your fear. I was going through the same thing. So it was support coming from I totally empathize with you because I'm terrified myself, to confident public speakers that would say, okay, here are the areas that you could potentially fall down. Here's how to avoid it.
But you know what? I also think it was the feedback and the comments we got was, you two are naturals. You'll be good at this. And just them saying it over and over again in different messages. Yeah. You two are going to be great on stage. So that sort of started to, you know, sink in, and reflecting on that the girls, you know, as you said, we call them the team. They're like our cheer squad, which cheering us on and saying, you two will be fine.
The encouragement, the support, the advice, the empathy, all comes together, and you've created this amazing group of women that we know that you carefully pick for a reason, and we're grateful that you do, because it benefits everybody that's in that group. There's no room for someone to be a negative Nancy. There's no room for someone to put anyone down. And it's a really lovely group to be in, and you can be yourself, authentic self, without judgment. And we're our worst enemies when it comes to being judgy of ourselves and putting ourselves down. So it's nice to have somebody else backing you up at the same time. But
it was the support of the group. I think that little seeds planted, come on girls, you can do this, you can do this, that just, we stepped out there. We were still very, very nervous, and it just became easier and easier. I think the weekend that we did, we obviously must have done a great, you know, a good job, because the following year they asked us
for the third year in a row.
But the weekend they asked us to fill 3 spots over 3 days so 9 slots of talking. I think the second day we just got up and went, this is easy. We've done, you know, so.
Well, we didn't have time to think about it, so we just did it.
Yeah.
And then it also opened up a lot of
Helen, you just said that you, you know, you're your own worst enemy in terms of judgment, but that obviously proved something to you, that you were far more capable than what you'd let yourself believe beforehand, because you changed the trajectory of where you were going after that. And I think that came out in both the online, but also in your service base too, and the work you're doing and the partnerships that you've got and all of that. So can you talk a little bit about the opportunities that have kind of blossomed in those last few years? Because you are the quintessential on a roll right now.
We are. The universe has got us, and it's carrying us through at the moment. I think on stage led us to forming some great collaborations with key partners and suppliers in our industry. So the next thing that we developed from being on stage was our masterclasses. So we deliver live in-person events. We've been to Mudgee, we've been to Thurrool, we've been going up to the Central Coast. We've delivered them in all sorts of locations, and that approaching people to come on board and support us through that and the credibility from speaking on stage. People look at us. We don't have a huge following, but I think, you know, seeing what we do, how we're out and about and doing different things has led people to, you know, come along and support us along the journey too. So now we're delivering masterclasses, in-person events, and in support with, you know, the suppliers, which has been fantastic, which is also leading to a very big event that's coming up.
As well as really good contacts too in our industry that are like out there and well known, doing what we are, like, that recognize we're on a similar path to them, and they've kind of acted as our mentor and sort of said, you know, you guys have got what it takes. I see you up on stage. Your banter is great, blah, blah, blah. And I don't say that about everybody, which gives you a little bit more confidence, well, a lot more. And this is my journey, and this is how I've gone, and these are the things that I've done. So I didn't just come up here and become this well-known person overnight. I've had to go through all these stages, and then that mentoring again, I think, has helped us along our way, because we see them, like you said earlier, Tina, where you know, we're now becoming the people that we go, oh, they're up there and I'm here. What it's made us realize is that we're all the same. We're essentially human beings doing something. You have a talent, or not even a talent. If there's something that you really want to do, you can actually go out and do it. You've just got to do all the groundwork to get there and have the right contacts and meet the right people.
Be at the right place at the right time.
And put yourself out there and not be frightened to take risks, I guess. So it's like one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And yeah, I don't know if that answers.
That's a really good point that I want everybody listening to be able to take, because a question I get often is like, what's the one marketing thing that you could do that makes the biggest difference? And I think what you have done so well is it's everything that's combined together that has all fed off each other. And it's always, I had someone the other day going, I'm posting on social media every day, but it's not getting the traction that I wanted it to have. But it's like, yeah, but where else are you doing? Like, how are you feeding that into third-party media and live events and all of the different things that we do? And that is what I think you've really nailed in the last few years, is going, you're actually feet on the ground. You're talking to humans in workshops of 20 people, which a lot of people with online businesses think, oh, I won't go and actually meet people. But it's that then gets word of mouth going, that then shares on social media, that then introduces you to other people, which then feeds it in a bigger way. And you get like both that micro and macro going. Have you, like, can you explain a little bit of how you've worked out your marketing strategy and how it's all fed into each other? Or have you gone like to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, and just seen where it takes you?
I'll let Karyn answer the marketing strategy side of things. But with the stepping stone thing, I'll have to say right at the beginning, when it was like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do all the things, we were in a position with our business where we couldn't do all the things. And we were initially feeling like, okay, but I don't think that's going to work for our business, because we need to get known for people to pay any attention to us. And two, like, we always had an excuse. And I'm not saying we were using them as an excuse so much. It was, we literally, yes, this is working brilliantly for this person in the group. It's not working for us. Is that because our situation is different, or is it because we're missing something? So we would go back, look at what we had to do and go, okay, well, yes, we should be having a podcast. Yes, we should be public speaking. Yes, we should be doing all these things. We can't physically possibly do them all at once now. So we would go, okay, what's the next thing? So we'd step by step. So we started off doing the lives. Then we started off, I don't know, what were the other, we'd have these weekly, I guess it was like a podcast.
Interviews, yes.
Interviews on social media that we did, which was kind of like a podcast, but without the commitment and the scariness of it all. So we did that. Then we just kind of went step by step. And at one stage, so there's probably a couple of years there where we were sort of encouraged to put out a podcast, and we'd be like, we just don't have the capacity or the headspace to do that. Let's park that. We know we need to do it. Let's park it, and we'll do it in a year or two, and then we'd pick that up. So it's like you said, for us, it's gradual. For other people, they can just go, right, I'm in, all in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to do it all. I just
want to ask on that, because I think it's a brilliant way to do it, because you're not overwhelming yourself. You've got realistic time expectations, but there's also frustration that comes with that, because you see everything happening and you're like, I just want to do it. And you're almost like a horse with a bit in its mouth, not being able to do everything at once. How did you deal with the frustration and the feeling? Because obviously it's all paid off and you're doing exceptionally well now. And you can always look at it from the long game when you're at the end and go, it was all worth it. But when you're in it, it feels like people are going faster than you and that you should be doing this and you're not doing that. How did you deal with that from a psychological point of view to run your own race?
I think I'm going to put it back to her empire builder. It's the 90-day planning and then looking at the overall year as well. And as Helen said, we couldn't physically do everything because we're still doing the service-based side of things. And it was picking which ones and looking strategically at them, that we were thinking, okay, we've done the lives. Okay, we can speak on stage. Now, from speaking on stage, the master classes came from that. And then, we should have a podcast. As soon as the podcast came out, it was just, so psychologically dealing with it was just little bite-sized chunks of what our business could handle at the time. And just looking at the year as a whole, love working with you and saying, okay, right, well, that was the year of the podcast. The podcast led to, you know, international guests and things like that. So having the podcast, speaking on stage, and then now that's going to lead to a television opportunity. So, but doing, you know, back to psychological, how we
you can't just gloss over that too, like, and then it led to a television opportunity. We have to talk about that.
I think that's why I stopped in my tracks then and lost my train of thought. I was like, oh gosh, I think
yeah, we are. We're going to be
Did
on TV. Okay, we're going to go straight into there because I don't want to leave people hanging. So you're going to be on TV next year.
We're going to be on TV, yes.
And this kind of happened. The way a lot of things have happened is you've put yourself into these positions because you've put yourself out there, you've built your profile, you've said yes to things, and then they've led to the next step along in there. But even with this, it's like every time you just push yourself out of your comfort zone, because now you're like, yeah, this is what we're doing. It's working really well. Like we've got it all set up. But I remember when the idea first came across the desk and both of you were like, ooh, I don't know. Helen was like, hell no.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, maybe, but I don't think so. So talk to us about how that came about and how you make the decision of what you say yes to and what you go all in on, because I think that's really helpful for people as well.
It was a no at first because it looked very, very overwhelming. And the thought of being on television is just beyond just being on social media or on your podcast or on stage. It's like a national network we're going to be on.
If you don't think about it, though, it's exactly the same as being, it's actually easier than being on stage because people aren't staring at you.
Well, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Very true. So we parked it. It's only happened in the last month. And we parked it for 2 weeks and we spoke about it and said, it's all too much. There's just, with everything else going on, and it's a whole other animal in itself. Then sat back, had chats with a few, like, to be honest, people that we now partner with who are from big companies. They were, you girls, this is a golden opportunity. You should just take it on and say yes. So it just flipped in 2 weeks. That was a no to a yes.
And back up with our suppliers has been a huge thing, because I don't know, it gives you a little bit more confidence. The fact that they're investing in you kind of makes you think, oh, okay.
And it's just, we would be silly to say no, because as you said, it's like increments, it's the next level. And from a marketing perspective, we wouldn't have been asked if we're not capable. They would have looked at us, I'm sure. But in terms of next level for the business, it would have been silly to say no, because the opportunities from this are just going to be incredible. It feels good. At first it was very overwhelming and scary, but now it sits really well with both of us. And
so you're coming out on Channel 9 next year.
Channel 9 next year, probably
9 Life
around this time next year. So,
amazing. And then you'll have all of, like, so many online course sales out of that, and so many downloads of your podcast.
Channeling it all back to that. So.
Well, that's why now it initially started off with Karyn saying, okay, let's put a YouTube series together of this renovation, because we were looking for ways to get traction for our online course. The people that had done it had said, this is brilliant, this is really helpful or whatever, but trying to get people to buy something that's not so sexy that they need is really, really difficult, especially if you don't have the name or the credibility that's out there. So then we thought we'd put together this YouTube video of the series of
a renovation,
the renovation and what's involved. So people are looking at it, immersing in it. We can talk about it and get them, interested and understand what they have to go through. Then from that, we spoke to somebody in the industry that's been there, done that to a certain degree, and had lunch with them and went through and we actually actively went out to get advice and say, okay, we know you've done this. Can you give us some tips? Can you help us? How are we going to do this? Which was brilliant. And then from that, it's just like everything lined up. And then we had this opportunity to actually go onto TV. And the first thing I thought was, yes, we can let the TV, the network do it. And we don't have to do these YouTube videos and do it ourselves. God, because that's a lot of work, as you would know. But now we're doing both. So
of course we're doing
both.
Which
will all be worth it.
So we now thought, well, let's align the YouTube videos with the course and combine the two, because I think it needs to be more visual than a talking head.
So amazing. So amazing. My next question I ask every member that comes on, but I'm not going to get you to answer it because, you know, you guys are just so wonderful. You've seeded it in. It's what do you love most about her empire builder? But you've just seeded it all the way through, which gives me love heart eyes. So you don't have to answer that one because you've already said the community and the support and all of those things, which I mean, I think that, and even you saying with your suppliers, like there was, I can't remember who wrote it. Lois, someone wrote a book called Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. And I remember reading it when I started franchising and I thought I was too nice and I couldn't be successful in business because I was just like this nice people pleasing person. And what I love about your story is all of your niceness has come back to help you. And so much of what I see happen inside her empire builder so often is the people that help other people. Every time they need help, there's so many people there to pick them up and lift them up and give it. And it's just like this roundabout world where everyone tries to give each other a leg up constantly. And it is definitely my favorite thing about it. But it has also been really nice to see the rewriting of this rhetoric that we were raised with, in that you've got to be a bit of a ball breaker, which I think for women in their 60s and 70s now, that was probably true, but it's no longer true for us coming through. Like you can be a nice girl and get everything that you deserve to get, and it all comes about, which is, you know, it's a testament to you in that you got this opportunity for the TV going, oh, can we actually ask companies to sponsor us and do all this? And they're like, you've got it. Like, you're amazing. We want to support you and give you all of that. Yeah.
And I'm going to actually say it's a testament to you too, because
we'll just do a love fest.
I know, we love, 3 of us are in love. But honestly, Tina, the trajectory that you've taken us on and the fun times, the travel, but the learnings, the online has just, it all comes back to you. And that is the honest truth. We would still be designing and drafting and meeting and doing what we're trained to do.
That's a bad thing. We do enjoy that side of it, but we wouldn't have had such an exciting ride.
I mean, it is cool. Like my whole reason for starting business, it was the same in franchising. It's the same now. Is I like to see women like chase their dreams and feel that little niggle in there and go, I think I'm capable of more. Like, I think I can do this and then do it. And it has been so freaking awesome to watch you get out of your comfort zone and do things and like high five each other and blow your own mind in going, what did we just do? We just did that. That was amazing. Who even are we? Like, it's very cool.
I think too, from somebody that's older, myself, and having had a career in teaching before this and then changing my career, which is so unheard of for my generation. Women just stuck with what they knew. They didn't step out. No, I'm getting old. Now I've got a family. And we did prioritize our family, and that was our choice. And I don't, I don't knock anyone. I will never.
Like
exactly. And that did slow our journey as well, and our earning capacity at the time as well. But we made that decision independently of one another. But I have found that now, and I still get it to a certain degree from, I won't sort of say like friends, acquaintances or whatever people, and a little bit less now, but probably a few years ago, it's like, what are you doing that for? Why don't you want to retire? Like, shouldn't you be retiring? And I'm like, I don't want to retire. Like, I don't want to.
Especially when we live so long now. I mean, what are you going to do for the next 50 years?
And who says we have to stick to that traditional, you get to a certain age and you retire. Like we can break those molds and, continue on. There's no slowing us down.
No, there's not. But I think your loved ones in particular see you working so hard. So if anyone out there thinks that it's an easy ride, it's not. It's hard. And then Karyn and I went back and studied 2 years ago, like as well as run the business, as well as trying to, and we really put ourselves under an incredible amount of pressure. And that wasn't the best years of our life that particular time, but it was a means to an end. And that also worked in our favor as well with the interior design side of the business. But I think women in particular need to be thick-skinned, and they need to believe in themselves, and they need a team to keep them going, because there are so many naysayers out there that try and put you back into your box and back into your place. And like, why would you even want to do that? Like, what are you achieving? Yeah, and look, there's been times where we're struggling financially because we're doing all the things and we're not putting all of our energy in our paid work, because we just don't have the time of the day. But we could see it as a means to an end. And I think for women out there, if there's something you really want to do, and let's face it,
chase it.
We want to feel like we're worthy. We want to feel like we've achieved something. Why do the men, and I'm not being, sexist or anything, but it's expected of men, it's not expected of women. So I think you need to push past all of that.
I think it's changed.
Focus on what you want to do.
Definitely changing. Definitely watching our girls grow up.
They're definitely, yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Okay, my last question is, what does success look like for you now?
I think success for us is to, I guess, finally, I don't know where we're going to be honest. I don't think there is an end to it, but finally, I think even now we're now feeling like we've been more and more successful because we can now see that all the hard work is starting to pay off.
Yeah.
To see that
I'm glad you're giving yourself that moment and getting off the treadmill for a little bit and going, look at what we've done here.
Yeah. And really, again, thanks to our wonderful team of supporters, sometimes it takes somebody else to point that out to you because it's a hard slog, and you just keep going and keep going and keep going. We can recognize it, but we feel like we're right near the tipping point. So once that TV show happens, and I guess once we get out there and people kind of and I'm not saying recognize us on the street, but are aware of us, and I don't know. I think
to me, it's more like people are coming to you rather than you going to them.
They are. Yeah.
I was going to say that the people that are around us and supporting us are coming to us and saying, how about McRae and Lynch get involved here? McRae and Lynch get involved there. And also for me, success is my family. Just, I can see they're really super proud of Helen and I, and just, that's success to say, look at those two women in our lives that are, they're being themselves, doing their thing, and look what's come our way from, as Helen said, the hard work. So I think that's success.
Yay. I'm so proud of you. It's I know that can sound condescending to say that, but I am though. Like, it's so beautiful seeing you set the goals and do it together, and do it with so much grace and so much class and so much fun that you have as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're freaking hilarious, which is such a joy to be around. So thank you for sharing your story. I will link to the podcast, Two Gins In, as well as the course. If anyone's got a renovation coming up, all of that will be in the show notes below, so that you can find Karyn and Helen and follow along, so that you can watch them on TV next year too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tina.